This is the John Brown Alliance, where we don't fear, we fight. We're old school, unscripted, and we understand the assignment. Today's big news for me was the fact that Donald Trump gave ICE the authority to dig into Medicaid records now to weed out people that they think are illegal in this country with my name, which I have never given on this podcast. I am more than likely to be scooped up because my name does not sound American. That being said, we in independent media don't know when this is going to be our last broadcast, so just keep that in mind when you get on Facebook after we post these, or we post these to Blue Sky or any place else, and you want to sit there and ostracize us or talk about what other people should be doing. Remember that every white, black, Puerto Rican, Native American, or any other ethnicity that are doing podcasts right now on independent media can be absolutely positively scooped up at any moment's notice, because we're putting ourselves out there to protect you. And what are you doing? You're sending us comments about what Democrats need to do and what you can't do and all that. We have people in wheelchairs. We have people that have lost their limbs in wars to protect this democracy. And if the best you can do is criticize somebody who's putting their head on the chopping block for you, you never will be and never were a true American. Because that's what being America is about. Being American is about dying for what you believe in. It's been that way since 1776, and I don't mean Donald Trump's 1776 with the white people. I'm talking the Crispus Attucks 1776. Get your mind clear of the bullshit and stop judging people based on what they post. Stop buying into clickbait. Quit it. Because those of us who are doing the work are getting sick and tired of you being sick and tired of us not doing enough while you do nothing. And keep that in mind. I would like to ask you, even though there are about 2 people watching these things that I'm producing, to like and subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe to these videos. However, they do move them up in the algorithms so that more people that believe the same thing you do get these messages. But if you don't, I'm just going to be another person that looks like this that's going to be carted away like in Nazi Germany. But I'm sure you don't care about that right now. At any rate, the message here is put the needle on the record. Some of us, and surprisingly a lot of white people, are getting tired of waiting for courts, waiting for Democrats to do things, waiting for Nancy Pelosi and the like. Now, I will give them their props. There are people, and I do have my list, and I'm going to read it again in case I didn't. Donald Trump, Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, Ron DeSantis, and Greg Abbott's heads need to absolutely be on the chopping block when this whole thing is over. People who should be commemorated that have since day one are people like Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, John Ossoff, and many others. I'm going to comprise a list of them too, because they are separate from Democrats today. And I would like to add to that list Zoran Mamdani. People, before they comment on socialism or democratic socialism, need to Google it. It's not that hard. If you have a cell phone, you can Google it. You can learn the history and how we evolved to this point. I have been a democratic socialist since day one, since I first joined a union, because unions were formed by socialists. And socialists believed, economic socialists, in the even distribution of wealth. Now, some people can't work, like elderly people. Some can work, like iron workers and back then coal miners, people who inspect food and all that. That was economic socialism. If you put the work in, then it benefits everyone. What we have today in America is something called corporate socialism, where all we do is pay taxes to give money to rich people to promise us jobs that we never get. The minimum wage in my state is something like $7.20. Yet the average, if you want to live in a safe, good neighborhood, and I don't mean safe from blacks, I mean safe neighborhood from anyone who hasn't been driven into economic oppression, it's going to cost you the average of $2,400 per month. That's $2,400 for the average apartment. Now, if you were lucky enough to buy a house, good on you. But everybody didn't have it like that in the 80s and 90s. We were still catching up with our $7 wages. And it's just absolutely despicable. So what you need, and I've done the math, if you want to live on minimum wage at less than poverty level and hopefully middle class, you need 5 working people working something between 8 and 16 hours a day. That's for your food, that's for your housing, that's for maintenance, for anything that breaks down, all of that. You need 5 people in your house right now making minimum wage. That's what you need. If you compare that with inflation, Christmas coming up, all the prices, the tariffs, and all that, you need 5 fucking people in your house. Now, I don't have that. Right now, I'm not going to get into that because it's not important. This is about the message. But anyway, I wanted to digress to address my face right now. Yesterday, I think I came or 2 days ago, came and told you that I had an accident. So that's why my face looks like this. I thought about covering up, but I figured, why bother? We are unfiltered here. So this is what happened to me. I'm a Medicaid recipient. I'm under a lot of stress. I have a lot of things going on, including taking care of 2 parents, elderly parents, and watching out for them. So I had a little accident. So, I need to address black people for a moment. Comfortable black people. If you have your children taking care of you, or you have a pension that you can pass on to your husband, if you are making more than $100,000 a year, I'm very happy for you. I really am. And I understand your need to sit on your ass and do nothing while the rest of us just fall by the wayside. It's even happening in my own family, which, who knew? Fascism is here. If you are black in America, and you honestly think you're safe I feel really sorry for you. And I have to bring up Nazi Germany. There were rich Jews in Germany. There were people that bought houses and they had bank accounts and they had all those things. And once it was issued that you had to wear that Star of David on your arm, you were just whisked off the streets. Now, I don't know how many of you can trace your ancestry back to Nazi Germany, but I can assure you that your ancestors lost their land. They lost their homes, they lost their businesses, and they lost all their personal possessions. This is what Black America faces right now. But they are so hell-bent on this bullshit of an American dream which never included them, that they are still waiting to be saved by the courts and still telling me that they don't think it's going to come to black people being snatched off the streets under Stephen Miller's Nazi dream. They really believe that, and it's scary. Everybody around me who is black does not understand that this has been the benchmark of the Trump administration since day one, that Latinos are low-hanging fruit. Everybody who isn't black has been low-hanging fruit to set an example to black people to stay home and shut up. This is what that is. In the meantime, many white people have filled the breach, and I am grateful. But we need to stop depending on them to do this and waiting, like we always do as people of color, for the next Martin Luther King or the next somebody to come in and save us, because we're too lazy to save ourselves. And once Martin Luther King died and everybody panicked and all things had to change, and you had JFK out there and Lyndon B. Johnson, all that stuff is over with. White people having to do right by black people, all that's gone in government. So stop waiting for it. How many times since 1619 do you have to keep on expecting things to get better and change? On the behest of some white man or some black man, like the governor of my state, who constantly wants to fake the funk and pretend like he's just like other white people, even though he ran on his slavery connections to the state of Maryland. How many house Negroes do you need to understand that they're not going to save you? My parents' generation became comfortable with affirmative action. You know what affirmative action was? It was red meat to the black people. We're going to let you get so far, and then we're going to give you somebody like Donald Trump, and we're going to stomp you right back where you came from. And if you don't believe me, these people did not elect Donald Trump because he's a genius. They elected Donald Trump because the architects of fascism and racism could rally around him and make their ultimate dreams come true. America was never great, but they're not going to make America great again. They're going to make America great for white people. What we're going to do is make America great for us. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Are you? So we have some upcoming events. One of them is the general strike coming up between... The dates are still negotiable. But I know the first day of protest is going to be on September 1st, 2025. And the protest is fascism. The theme is fascism is your fate, not mine. Now, you can share this or whatever, but this, the catalyst for this movement, or the inspiration for this movement, and I want to get credit where credit is due. His name, and he has a podcast, is Paul Lance. Okay, and I want to give a shout out to Paul Lance for staying on this. The hashtag, like I said, is General Strike. And I want to say to Paul Lance, you don't need the support of anyone in Congress. You don't need the support of a petition. What you need is bodies out on the street. Now, if you give me until September 1st, I will give you the bodies on the street, Paul Lance, for this movement. Because I truly believe that this is our next step. Now, so, fascism is not our fate. It's day one. I wrote it down. That happens on Labor Day. That's a Monday. September 1st, 2025. Be there. In Washington, D.C. Our gathering place will be in front of the White House. If you cannot fit there, please go to the Lincoln Memorial. If you cannot fit there, please find where Black Lives Matter Plaza was and go there. Because I don't think all these people are going to fit into these spaces. This is not an individual protest. We are supporting Paul Lance's effort for a general strike. So that's September 1st. We need you to be in Washington, D.C. Now, we welcome veterans. We welcome everyone. This is the beginning of the revolution, I believe. Because at this general strike, we intend to have people dressed up just like ICE, black hoodies, so that nobody can come in there and say, oh, I'm so-and-so and so-and-so. MAGA might, but we'll be able to identify them. We'll pick them out in advance because we already have had people surveilling Washington, D.C. as a whole to see if there are suspected individuals out there, because they tend to pop up at every rally. And we have also been doing our own tracing people that are trolling us and looking at algorithms and so forth. But that's neither here nor there. That's part of the, you got to be smarter than the enemy. So that being said, they are having their heyday. Absolutely. I would love, and this is my dream, to have Stephen Miller attend a black barbecue. I'm thinking Labor Day would be a good day. You know, Stephen Miller might or might not be in Washington, D.C. I would like, if you hate something so much, if you're an intelligent individual like he pretends to be, I believe that you should explore that thing you don't understand or hate so that you either understand it better or can substantiate your hate. Stephen Miller should be the first head on the chopping block because since he was born evil. If you go back to his high school classmates talking about him, pictures in a yearbook, I've seen all that stuff, and he is absolutely putrid. Absolutely putrid. He is a fuck-wasted and nothing but a straight-up Nazi. And if you're black in America and you're going to let that bald-headed motherfucker get on the news every day and tell you you're going to be deported and you're going to wait till the next election, you're a fool. And you are absolutely complicit with your own demise. I just don't believe this asshole is still walking the earth. This same guy that's around the White House probably walks out of it or drives out of it and eats in restaurants in Washington, D.C. If you see this motherfucker, accost this motherfucker. And I have a list of those people. You know why? Because Republicans had no problem going up and ruining the daily lives of Democrats. And as a person who voted for people to represent them in Congress, you have an absolute right to accost them on the street. This is not doxing, as they say it. That's how they switch the narrative, so that you think you're doing something wrong. You have every right to get in his face. And if he says he's going to do this, that, and the third to black people or Latinos, you have every right to call him out in the street and tape it. So you can gather evidence for the rest of us. Now when you do, and these people are in Washington, D.C. right now, eating lunch at restaurants that you eat at, if you recognize their face, get up, tape them, and ask them a question. And I guarantee they're going to put their own noose together for their hanging. But their time is going to come. Starting September 1st. It may not be exactly the way we planned it out. It might not be the general strike we wanted all across the board. But what it will be is a start. And it's going to catch on. So once again, on Labor Day, we need to close all the stores. And what that means is we need everyone who works on Labor Day in a store, especially Walmart and Target and places like that, that are multi-million-dollar corporations, to not show up. We're going to start with Walmart. We're going to start with Target. We're going to start with Safeway. We're going to start with Giant. One day, we ask you to call in sick. Now, you're probably not going to have to do that. But what we're going to do, so that you don't have to pay for not showing up at work, we're going to put out, and I'm going to write this down, an announcement that all of these entities close on Labor Day. No shopping on Labor Day, even if they don't close. September 2nd, we'll have another round. So stay tuned. Because we are totally committed to this general strike. It has been years in the making since Donald Trump started this bullshit. But we need to stop asking for Congress's help and asking for other people's help. Because we don't need money, we don't need petitions, we don't need none of that. What we need is action. Just like the Tesla protest. There wasn't anything involved in there other than people showing up and protesting Tesla. That's what we need right now. So, in closing, I will say, all these people that keep trolling me right now, and if you're getting trolled, you're doing something right. Talking about me being stupid for being a democratic socialist and all this kind of stuff, and thank you for, weeding down the economy and taxes and blah 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 and all this. I'm being trolled by idiots, and if you run a podcast, you are too, and you probably shouldn't waste your time addressing them, because when you're indoctrinized and part of a cult, just like the Christians were that stole indigenous land from my people, the Native Americans, you're not going to get it down. So let them fall by the wayside. I don't want to hear another fuck around and find out moment and how white people and Asians and all. That's just clickbait. I don't give two shits. Them finding out they got fucked over is doing absolutely nothing to change anything. So let's stop with that. Let's stop with the impeachment talk. The fake bullshit. Let's talk about what we can change and what we can do right now. Let's just do that. Because I'm tired of all the rest of that bullshit. It's just nothing but caterwauling and people talking to the screen just to hear themselves heard and get people to click and subscribe. And I will say too, these inflammatory titles, to get clickbait on YouTube, that's also getting pretty tired. Because the rest of us weed through that and we're getting tired of that bullshit too. So, this stuff that's going to end Trump, this bombshell, it's not happening. Alright? What's going to happen is a revolution. Okay? Gloves are off. I'm tired of talking shit. I'm tired of listening to other people's bullshit. I really am. And it took me 30 years of being a civil rights activist to actually get on YouTube and make these videos. I know you can't appreciate that, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to deliver a message. Straight up. You are the company you keep. So if you're with MAGA and you want to still keep trolling us, fuck you. If you found the fuck out that Donald Trump wasn't what you expected, fuck you. If all of a sudden you wish you had voted for Kamala Harris or Bernie Sanders, fuck you. If you're a Democrat in Congress right now who isn't standing up and doing anything, fuck you. And you reap what you sow. This is our time. Everybody who is making $100,000+ a year that sit here and ignore us had their chance to do something about this. Now it's our turn. We're the Goonies. It's our time. You are the company you keep. And if you fit any of the categories other than somebody who is willing to bleed for America, I'm done with you. And America is done with you. Excuse me. This is the John Brown Alliance, where we don't fear, we fight. Have a wonderful Friday. Good day and good luck.